Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. This past Sunday, we celebrated our younger son Shuka's samskara on Akshara Abhyasa. Sharing this in a simple way. This is a rite, R-I-T-E, where he's transitioning from being a child to being a student. When a child becomes a student, and really anyone, who's developing and so becomes more impressionable, it is important to regulate what kind of influences are coming into such a personality. And so for Shuka and others, we remember someone like Bhagwan Hanumana. At the samskara, we chanted Hanuman Chalisa, 40 verses on ideals, like toughness and hope and so on. One of the lines in the Hanuman Chalisa is, Mahavira Vikrama Bajarangi. I'm zooming into the word Mahavira. Vira means to be great, to be strong, to be excellent. To be Mahavira, one of the greatest, one of the most excellent, one of the strongest, there are 5 factors involved, from easiest to hardest. These 5 are to be Ranavira, to be great when it comes to being balanced. That's number 1. Then you get to 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 2 is Dharma Vira. Once you're balanced, then you can be responsible. Number 3, Dana Vira. As you're being responsible, you feel happier, so you start to help more actively. Those who are following Dharma, they express this as Dana. Number 4 is Vidya Vira. As one is being generous, they're infusing this generosity with insight. They have insight about the connectedness amongst all beings, which leads to the final, and really this is the most difficult part about being Mahavira, and that is Daya Vira. To be great, strong, excellent when it comes to compassion, when it comes to being loving. Vidya Vira, I know we are all one. Daya Vira, I like this. These 5 make up one being Mahavira. As I reflect on these 5 directions of greatness, I feel in our community, we are focusing on and nurturing all of these. From being balanced to being loving. So then Hanuman Chalisa doesn't become about singing. It becomes about supporting, serving, surrendering. This is even more important right now, because soon all of you will be let loose. Bhagavad Gita will be completed. Meaningful mornings will be completed. Are you invoking this greatness? Is it becoming part of you? In verse 63, Shri Krishna starts to share more intimately. There are 2 very intimate parts of the Bhagavad Gita. In chapter 1, the intimacy is facilitated by Prince Arjuna, and so the orientation is of confusion. He's sharing, I'm scared, I'm attached, I can't do this, those kinds of sentiments. In chapter 18, the intimacy is facilitated by Sri Krishna, that orientation is not of confusion, but rather care. How much Sri Krishna cares for Prince Arjuna, how much Sri Krishna cares for Bhagavad Gita. In verse 64, he zooms into how much he cares for Prince Arjuna, that he just keeps giving and giving and giving to Prince Arjuna. And this giving is with love. How does one know this? One gives with love when they have no expectation or calculation of reciprocity. What can Prince Arjuna even try to give to Sri Krishna that he doesn't already have or is? Prince Arjuna can give nothing, and so Sri Krishna keeps giving everything. In verse 65, when one is really sensing how much Sri Krishna loves us, then one feels Sri Krishna Sharanam Mama. My only support, my only dependence is on Sri Krishna. Everyone else in life gives to us, sometimes with love, sometimes without love. I would say every relationship of ours is traced with reciprocity. That's why we get disappointed. If you didn't have that expectation, you wouldn't be disappointed. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. In verse 66, Shri Krishna as if summarizes the whole chapter. Renounce, surrender, be like, let me say that again. Renounce, surrender, be with. That's what I meant to share. Be with Sri Krishna. Finally, be like Sri Krishna. Step 1 is renounce. Step 2 is surrender. Step 3 is to be with him. And the finality of that is to be like him. A reflection on surrender. It's an easy word to say out, to write out. Sometimes I find with myself, and perhaps you say you write surrender, but you still want a certain article, being, and circumstance to be in a certain way. That's not surrender. How can you surrender and still want and insist and make this certain? Don't take surrender for granted, because you'll never be with him then. In verse 67, Sri Krishna shares the need to be ready for Bhagavad Gita. How? The more you respect the sacred, like the trust triangle, etc., the more you receive. Respect is a practice in openness. The more open my arms are, the more I can hug a tree or hug my kids or just catch things. Readiness is facilitated by respect. The utility of respect is you receive. In verse 67, zooming into this a little bit more, the way that we can cultivate respect is tapa, yajna, dana, shraddha. If you go into this verse, those exact words are not being shared, but the import is this. The whole chapter has been about tapa, yajna, dana, shraddha. In regards to tapa, those who are not practicing tapas are not really fit to court and gain the loving embrace of the rejuvenating philosophy in the Gita. Tapa means to try. We use words like apply, practice, live. in regards to dana. Seekers who are not able to serve others, who are selfish, who have no human qualities, who have never felt a sympathetic love for others, such persons are merely consumers and not producers of joy for others, and they invariably fail to understand or appreciate or come to live the joys of the Krishna way of life. Dana, the earlier word was shushusha, means to be active. You can't try and be passive. You have to try and be active. In verse 68, Shri Krishna zooming into how Bhagavad Gita, listening to this, speaking this, is seva. I'm reading some insights from Pujya Swami Chinmayananda. In our tradition, Rishi indebtedness, that is the Rishi Rina, to absolve ourselves from which we are asked every day to study their works and preach their ideas. When we lost these two great ideals, when the later Brahmana generations conveniently forgot their duties and responsibilities, and thus disobeyed this glorious injunction of the great rishis, this started our cultural decadence. Our teachers, our guides, their responsibility is to make the inaccessible accessible. If they're not making this accessible, they're being irresponsible. When people ask me, why do you teach? I openly share that. Going to Sandipani was my privilege. Not everyone has that privilege. It is my responsibility to share this privilege. Tomorrow on social media, you'll see you too will have an opportunity to offer your prayer to Bhagwan Shiva. To be able to go to Mount Kailasha is a privilege. It requires good health. It requires good finances. Most of all, it requires good grace. Not all can have this privilege, so you can offer your prayer, and that will be shared with Bhagwan Shiva. Shri Krishna is continuing with the sentiment about the culture of care surrounding the Bhagavad Gita. Verse 69. Nacha tasman manushyeshu kashchin me priyakritamaha bhavitana cha me tasmat anya priyataro bhuvi. Joy. I'm reading the translation. That way I don't miss any details. Nor is there any among humans who does dearer service to me, nor shall there be another on earth dearer to me than he. He is connected to the previous verse, the one who guides the Bhagavad Gita. I shared with you, I believe in chapter 4, our concept of an avatara is someone floating down from the sky who looks in a way we'll never look. The Pujya Swami Tejomayananda shared, those who study and share the Bhagavad Gita, they are the avatars. They are the ones who are restoring balance, the ones who are Ranavira. I want to make sure that we're not dropping the ball in any which way, connecting all of the dots. In verse 66, Shri Krishna, in terms of caring culture, was zooming into the completion. Bhagavad Gita's completion is in verse 66. And verse 67, the confused are described. Those who don't try active. Their priority is still pleasure, possession, position. In verse 68, it is the connection. Studying and sharing Bhagavad Gita is the connection to the trust triangle. And now in verse 69, it is the connected. Those who study and share Bhagavad Gita, they're connected to divinity through their map. Since they're connected, they can offer that connection to those who are trying actively. Completion, confused, connection, connected. More of such sentiments are coming in the forthcoming verses. My final thought for everyone. Pujaswami Chinmayananda has written, Vidyadana in Hinduism is a duty religiously imposed upon all students. Knowledge hoarded and secreted brings about a sadder poverty than the wealth collected and cornered in a society. Those who study and share Bhagavad Gita, they're engaged in Vidyadana. Their generosity is exponentially more than financial dana. You know why? Because this Vidyadana leads to the greatest contribution, Abhayadana. Abhaya means first courage and then fearlessness. A guide is one who leads themselves in a courageous way on to fearlessness, and they share a plan in a personal way with those who are trying active. All of you who are not resonating with what's being shared, grace is missing. From inspiration to application. Your application was to list out 10 different directions of factors who are making this experience possible. Now, amplifying this, your application for this morning and really to the end of our semester, of our map, we are now in the final 9 verses, the final 12 mornings. It is to express your gratitude in these 10 directions. Can you imagine that Sri Krishna himself is expressing his gratitude for Bhagavad Gita and the care around this culture? It's his Gita, and he's expressing gratitude. How dare we not? And that's why I shared, if you're not feeling this, that grace is missing. This is a transaction rather than a transformation. Shanti, 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 Vijay.